How's going guys, welcome to the channel. In this video we are gonna see, what if Naruto was the Zenko of the DC and got harem? Part 2. If you wants to see awesome fanfiction like this, don't forget to subscribe. Now let's get into the video. "It's them," said John as he took a step back with Naruto, Superman and Batman, taking a vigil stance as the white aliens charged forward and began firing their blasters at them. Naruto and the others quickly took cover behind a toppled army jeep, but Superman got hit and was sent crashing into a tank. Batman took out a batarang which he threw into the air to unleash a bright flash of light, then a smoke screen for some cover. "I got this." Naruto flipped over the jeep whilst swiftly weaving through a set of hand seals before calling out wind style. Great breakthrough. He channeled wind chakra to his throat, then brought a hand to his mouth and blew a large blast of wind to send the white aliens, along with any objects within range, flying backwards. Some of the white aliens were quick to recover and began shooting at him. Naruto jumped and flipped to avoid the lasers, then responded by throwing a single wind-enhanced shuriken and formed some more hand-signed shuriken shadow clone jutsu. Then the shuriken multiplied into 1,000 copies of the original and sliced through the aliens into puddles only for to reform themselves. Zenko, get clear. Naruto turned to see Superman holding up a tank and Batman helping an injured John to his Batwing to make their escape. Naruto threw a Hirishin kunai to strike close to the Man of Steel and warped towards before giving him the go-ahead to throw the tank at the aliens, which caused a large explosion and enough time to take to the skies for an escape. "That was close," said Batman. John however shook his head. "We're not safe yet, look," he gestured to the window for the group to see what appears to be a fleet of the alien fighters which opened fire upon them, especially the Batwing. "They obviously want the green alien dead," said Kurama. "Well, that's not gonna happen," Naruto responded. He shot out a chakra chain to pierce through a wing of an alien fighter and rappelled himself up to it from Sigmus's back whilst forming a blue spinning sphere in hand Rasengan. He rammed the technique into the aircraft and blasted a hole right before quickly jumping off to land on another, with the first crashing into a mountain and exploding. Meanwhile, Superman came diving in from above and smashed right through one of the fighters before turning around to use his heat vision to slice through another. However, an alien fighter came from behind and shot him down to crash into the side of a cliff. Meanwhile, Naruto from one alien fighter to another and dodging laser fire, he landed on top and waited for one of the enemy aircraft to fly towards him and shoot a red laser beam. Naruto quickly switched places with a wooden log as the beam slammed into its fellow craft and exploded, then reappeared in the air for Sigmus to swoop in and carry him away. Suddenly a laser shot flew by his head, making him look back to see an alien fighter currently in pursuit and firing at them. "Sigmus, we got a bogey on our tails and we got a loose M," said Naruto. Alert. Sigmus screeched in response and picked up speed as they flew in between mountains with the enemy not too far from them. Naruto reached into his pouch and took out a pair of smoke grenades, while timing his moment to strike. Not yet now. He threw the grenades at the cliff walls to throw up a smoke screen right as Sigmus pulled a sharp ascent to the sky for the fighter to fly through the smoke and right into a cliff wall and destroyed itself. Up above, Sigmus targeted a fighter of its own and began flapping its wings rapidly to launch a volley of flaming feathers to shoot it down to the ground. "Good one, Sigmus, never saw that one before." He heard a loud bang and turned to see that one of the alien fighters were able to land a shot on Batman's plane to take off one of its wings, sending it careening to the valley below. "Damn it, we gotta go help them." Naruto and Sigmus were about to dive in when a beam of green energy enveloped the aircraft and held it in midair. They traced it to a dark-skinned man with a crew cut and glowing green eyes as he wears a black and green bodysuit with the symbol of a green lantern on his chest, and he was wearing a green ring which is the source of the beam. "Hey, that's Green Lantern, well, a member of one." Naruto had been hearing of the Lantern Corps during his time in the cities. "And he's not the only one," said Kurama. A pair of alien fighters were flying towards Green Lantern when someone intercepted and smashed them to the ground. This one is a woman with red hair and was wearing a mask designed to resemble a hawk to cover her upper face and leaving her mouth exposed, not to mention that she possesses wings on her back. She wears an outfit with the upper part being yellow, a black belt with a silver buckle, red briefs, green skin-tight pants, and red and yellow boots as she wields a spiked mace crackling with white energy which she had used earlier on the enemy aircrafts. Naruto recognized her to be Hawkgirl, whom he learned of from the media. "Wow, she's pretty strong. Kinda scares me to think if Tsunade and Sakura were to use those kinds of weapons," said Naruto. He snapped to attention upon seeing the winged woman get knocked down to a ledge from an explosion, courtesy of the alien fighter, and was about to move in to help when again someone landed before her in defense, and this one caught his attention the most. She is a beautiful woman with long black hair. She wears a strapless red bustier held up by a brace of gold resembling an eagle and blue briefs with white stars, with a golden lasso attached to a golden belt, silver bracers and earrings, a golden tiara with a red star on her forehead, and red boots with white stripes. Naruto was in awe as she used the bracers to deflect the incoming shots from the alien fighter before sending them back at it. Naruto saw that the aircraft was about to crash into them and quickly reacted wind style. Wind gale. He thrust his palm to produce a strong gust of wind to blow the ship away from the two women. They both turned towards Naruto, who sheepishly waved before getting Sigmas to fly towards where Batman's jet is, with the others gathering there as well. At that moment, the Flash showed up holding the blown-off wing of the Batwing with a smirk on his face. "Hey Bats, I think you dropped this." He turned round and was awed by the Ravenette's beauty, then shoved the wing into the Dark Knight's hands, much to his annoyance. "Whoa, where have you been all my life?" "Themyscira," she replied bluntly, not getting the meaning behind his words. "Huh?" Then Hawkgirl spoke up. "The home of the Amazons, I always thought it was a legend. I assure you, it is as real as the ground we stand." "I am Diana, Princess of the Amazons," said the now identified Diana. "Pinch me, I must be dreaming." "Ow," said Flash, only to be elbowed lightly by Superman. "Themyscira is protected by the gods, but I could not stand idly by while the rest of the world is in danger," Diana continued to explain. Naruto smiled and actually bowed, much to Kurama's shock, as the blonde is never one to be formal. "Well, it's a pleasure to meet you, Diana Harem." "The pleasure is mine as well, although I am surprised to see a phoenix accompanying you, as they're known to symbolize purity, creativity and protection among others," said Diana, finding it curious for a mythological bird to be attached to a male in man's world. "Sigmas grew attached to me when he was a chick after I saved him from a crazy bird, been with me ever since, and is a great partner to me," Naruto replied with a smile, despite it being hidden behind the mask. "Well, I'm just glad that you all showed up when you did," said Superman thankfully. John spoke. "No, not luck, I telepathically summoned them. Look, I'm usually pretty quick on the uptake, but would someone please tell me what the heck is going on here?" said Flash confusedly, getting everyone to look at the green Martian. "Which also includes those visions which you had been sending to Superman and I," Naruto added. A couple minutes after Superman helped weld the damaged wing back to the Batwing with his heat vision, John was finally ready to tell them his story. "We first encountered them 1,000 of your Earth years ago. It was a golden age, our Martian civilization was at the height of its peace and prosperity. And then they arrived. Where they came from, no one knew, but they were determined to make our planet their own. We Martians were peaceful people, and the taking of any life was abhorrent to us. We quickly learned the ways of war. For centuries, the battle raged on, every trait of our once glorious civilization was obliterated. We fought valiantly, but the invaders were parasites who fed on our psychic energy. As we grew weaker, they grew stronger and even absorbed our shape-changing abilities. Finally, a small group of Martian survivors planned one final desperate attack. Inside their underground stronghold, we unleashed a powerful nerve gas which paralyzed them. The attack was successful, but the cost was dear. I was the only survivor, the last of my kind. I sealed up their citadel to keep them in a constant state of suspended animation. For over 500 years, I stood over them, but then while I was in my hibernation cycle, astronauts from Earth unsealed the stronghold and accidentally revived the invaders." Flash spoke up. "At that wait, those astronauts never said anything about finding life on Mars." "HMPH, some pen pusher in Washington probably decided that it should be classified information," said Green Lantern, with Flash nodding in agreement. "I don't think that's the case," said Naruto after having a mental conversation with Kurama and came upon a disturbing conclusion. "What do you mean?" asked Batman curiously. "Remember what John said earlier before, that the white aliens had absorbed his people's ability to shapeshift, so it's highly likely that the astronauts were captured and replaced, with one of them being Senator Kelly, who pushed for the movement of the disarmament of the nuclear weapons and having Superman be their protector. And even before that, Batman spoke of numerous breaches in the global monitoring network, which could mean one thing," said Naruto. Superman began to pale at the implication, and Batman confirmed it. A small group of the alien invaders were sent to Earth to make it as defenseless as possible for the main forces to arrive with little to no resistance. "One of the basic strategies of war, disable an enemy's major source of fighting power for a dominant advantage in battle," said Diana, with Naruto nodding in agreement. The blonde shinobi saw that Superman was slowly falling into despair for what he had unintentionally done and quickly spoke to him. "Don't lose heart, Superman. Right now Earth needs us to save it, and we'll make sure that these aliens, especially the fake senator, will pay for what they've done." The Man of Steel slowly nodded in agreement. "Now's not the time to regret, but the time to protect, like he had promised. We've got to stop them before it's too late," said Green Lantern with anger. "It may already be too late." John looked over the edge of the cliff, with the rest following suit, to see a massive cloud of smoke rising from the horizon to the sky. "What are they doing?" asked Hawkgirl. "The invaders are nocturnal, they want to blot out the sun so they could live in perpetual darkness." "Friends of yours?" Flash asked divertingly at Batman and Naruto, given that both tend to operate well in the shadow. "This is no joke," Batman replied, while Naruto simply chuckled. So what's the big problem? You could just whip up some more of that nerve gas, it would be smooth sailing from here, said Flash. Unfortunately it's impossible now, the gas requires a rare Martian plant in order to be made. I brought along a sample when I came here, but it was destroyed when I got captured, said John. Probably by the invaders who were disguised at that time to be rid of any countermeasures against them, said Batman. Anyone got a plan B? Asked Flash. We'll have to take out those factories, said Diana, the others saw it to be a sound plan. Lady, this is no job for amateurs, Green Lantern spoke sternly. Diana turned towards him in anger. We Amazons are warriors born. Want to test me? Green Lantern was just about to respond when there was a blur of movement and Naruto appeared in between them. Now's not the time for us to be arguing like this, then he turned to glare at Green Lantern, and especially not the time to be picky about whether or not one is qualified to participate. John called us here, believing that we're the Earth's best chance of salvation. Merely looking at her, I can tell that NaruHarem has been trained from youth for situations like this just like I did, so we're as qualified as you can get, so don't go judging someone you've just met without knowing them completely. Diana was quite surprised, or she had never expected the masked male to come to her defense, since she had always been told that men are selfish, arrogant and narcissistic, and was prepared for such, but this is definitely a first for her. Green Lantern was a bit put off by what the ninja said, but only frowned before walking past them. That's when Diana spoke to the masked man. Thank you, said Diana. You're welcome, NaruHarem. I just hate it when someone looks down on others. Really riles me up, said Naruto before walking up to the rest with her following him. Tactically we have multiple objectives, so we'll need to split into teams, said Green Lantern. According to the news, there's one in Indonesia, Egypt and Metropolis, said Batman, putting away a handheld device back into his utility belt. Flash zipped over to lean an arm on Diana's shoulder with a smirk. Dibs on the Amazon. Diana was momentarily surprised by his actions, but spoke up nonetheless. Actually, I would like him to be my partner, she pointed at Naruto, who was surprised but inwardly felt happy. I'm okay with it, he replied. You're beginning to like her, huh kid? Asked Kurama with a smirk. Naruto had always set his heart on Sakura, but with what happened in the Land of Iron, the blonde decided to move on. Thinking back on it now, Kurama was outraged at how she manipulated his feelings for her just because of a guilty conscience on the promise made to bring the uchiha back to her. I don't know, I can't be too sure myself, thought Naruto. Personally he knows that he doesn't really know what love truly is, given his past, but is willing to learn more about it. Least you would have better chances than with that Haruno, he muttered with distaste at the memory of her. Hawkgirl and I will handle the factory in Metropolis, said Superman. I'll go with Zenko and Diana to Egypt. We should be able to discover more weaknesses than what we know now, said Batman. I as well, I possess ample knowledge of the invaders which should be useful in our endeavors, said John. Hold on, that would make yours the largest group, Green Lantern pointed out. Naruto shrugged his shoulders, which means we could destroy the factory sooner before coming over to provide backup to either teams. Green Lantern could only frown in response. In that case, I'll be taking Flash with me to handle the factory in Indonesia, he grabbed said hero and dragged him away despite protest. Minutes later, the assigned teams took off towards their marked destinations. Sometime later, Flash and Green Lantern had arrived at the forest of Indonesia and were standing at the edge of a cliff to scope around the area of which the alien factory was currently situated, with several alien walkers patrolling the perimeter. That's our target, now listen up, here's the plan. Green Lantern began to talk, but Flash cut him off. What plan? We kick their butts, right? Let's get this over with. Flash dashed down the cliff before Green Lantern could respond and went up to the walkers before whistling to catch their attention. Hey. Over here. One of the walkers turned around to fire a laser blast, only for the speedster to dart to the side to dodge it. Ha. Missed me. Then he took off at high speed, running in between their legs and avoiding getting shot at. However, he stepped on a hidden alien landmine which launched him into the air, then falling into a green sticky gunk. Flash tried to get himself free, but to no avail as one of the walkers approached to end his life. Fool. Green Lantern let out a groan of frustration, then quickly flew over to help the impatient speedster hang tight. Hot shot, he fired a beam from his ring to blast off one of the walker's legs, causing it to lose balance and crash to the ground. I'm sort of stuck here, Flash could only smile sheepishly. I hope the others are having better luck than we are, said Green Lantern as he flew over to help him out of the gunk. Over at Egypt, Naruto and the others were currently hiding within some ruins close to the alien factory while waiting for John, who had gone to survey the area for access into the factory, along with some of his shadow clones, to return with news. Hiding like cowards is not the Amazon way, said Diana with a frown. I understand, but we can't go charging in straight for it, will alert the enemy. NaruHarem, the element of surprise is the key here, like my sensei taught me, said Naruto, checking his inventory before turning his attention to her. I've been meaning to ask, but why do you add Harem to my name? Asked Diana curiously. From where I came from, it is an expression of respect or endearment, like Sama meaning master, Chan meaning cute, or Harem meaning princess. So I was attaching the appropriate title to your name, Naruto explained with Diana nodding in understanding and was quite intrigued. But what do they call you? I didn't hear them call your name out once. You can call me Zenko, which means good fox. Legends say that such foxes serve as guardian spirits and possess the power to ward off evil. That's the reason I took on the name, Naruto explained. And let's not forget that you represent me, Kurama piped up before getting shushed by his partner. I've never heard of such legends, said Diana, her natural curiosity slowly getting the best of her. That was when John rose from the ground before them and becoming tangible. I have scouted the outer walls, there are no openings. Same thing from my clones, Naruto added, having gone through the memories of said clones when they dispelled. Then we make our own. Diana took off ahead of the others. John and Naruto were about to go after her when Batman stopped them, much to their confusion. Wait, let's see what she can do, said Batman. They watched as Diana took out a golden lasso, then quickly descended to avoid a laser blast from the alien walker. She twirled it in midair before throwing it to rope one of the legs. Diana flew around the legs a few times, then pulled hard to draw them together as it lost its balance and smashed into the wall of the factory, leaving a gaping hole. There's your opening, said Diana before flying inside. Whoa, she's got strength equal to Tsunade Bachan, thought Naruto in surprise. Not bad, said Batman. Then they followed after the princess and found her deflecting laser fire from the aliens with her silver bracers before running deeper into the factory. Such action was rather displeasing to her. They're unlike cowards, what are you waiting for? Diana flew in pursuit with John close behind. Batman, did you notice it too? Naruto asked, getting a nod from the Dark Knight. Both noticed how the invaders avoided the sunrays like their very lives depended on it before following after them. Back at Metropolis, Superman and Hawkgirl were able to level down several alien walkers, with the latter making sure that they stayed down with her mace. Superman chopped off the pointed tip of an alien walker's leg, then used it as a makeshift spear to smash open a hole into the wall of the targeted factory. Hawkgirl, follow me. He flew through the hole with her right behind him, and both cautiously walked through the distorted passageways. Keep a sharp eye out. I always do, Hawkgirl with her mace constantly at the ready. They barely took about 10 steps while a barrage of laser fire were shot from above by the white aliens. Stay back, Superman was about to say more, but Hawkgirl ignored him and charged straight at the invaders, then began swinging a way that he had to duck for one to fly overhead and splatter into the wall behind him. Whoa, he turned back to see the rest down and out on the ground around her. What? There's a time for words and a time for action. Hawkgirl walked past an awkward Superman and deeper into the factory, with him eventually following her. Back in Indonesia, Green Lantern was using his ring to free Flash from the gunk and so far has gotten most of it off, but wasn't in a happy mood. Of all the idiotic, boneheaded, glory-grabbing moves, haven't you ever heard of teamwork? Said Green Lantern angrily, then a laser blast struck the ground near them. Maybe we should save the motivational speeches till later. Flash finally got back before dashing out to engage the enemy once again. Green Lantern projected an energy shield from his ring to defend against the salvo of laser blasts from the alien walkers and was just about to launch a counterattack when one of them fired a small pod which released a yellow gas upon impact, which was rather disadvantageous to Green Lantern, for the power rings belonging to his core have little to no effect on anything that possesses the color yellow in relation to their opposition, the Sinestro core. Green Lantern unintentionally breathed in the gas and collapsed to the ground unconscious. Flash was quickly at his ally's side and waved his arms rapidly to generate winds powerful enough to blow the gas away from him. He looked up and saw the alien walkers heading straight for the Mao. Gotta run. He scooped him and quickly hightailed it out of there, forced to abort the mission assigned to them. Superman and Hawkgirl flew deeper into the factory, with the latter tightening her grip on the mace, speaking seriously. They're close by, I can almost smell them. Are you always so eager to fight? Asked Superman. He always preferred to settle issues peacefully and would only fight when given no other choice or when people are in danger or in rare occasions angered. My Homethenager is a warlike world, there one must strike first or die. Right then a laser shot flew in between the duo. They turned to see the alien invaders running away and gave chase. But then the passage sealed itself between them and the invaders, with the same going for the other side, trapping them inside. The situation got worse when yellow gas started flowing into the sealed passageway. Hawkgirl began coughing and fell to her knees. Hang on, Hawkgirl. Superman turned towards the wall and prepared to tear it open for them to escape. No sooner he touched it did a powerful electric current course through his body and rendering him unconscious, with Hawkgirl soon following after from the gas. Back in Egypt, the group were currently engaging the alien invaders as they traversed the alien factory. Naruto was at the head of the group as he darted around to evade the laser fire from the aliens, then taking them down by using chakra-coated kunai to cut them down or utilizing them, along with shuriken and explosive tags for powerful long-range attacks. Then he dashed towards the alien forces whilst summoning long chakra chains from his hands, but embedded them with wind chakra, giving him a sharp cutting edge as he whipped them round for some serious crowd control, and Sigmas flew around and was breathing streams of flames from its beaks to burn the enemies attacking him. Another part of the factory's wall opened up to reveal a group of aliens which came running and began firing at the blonde ninja, however Diana flew in between them and was deflecting the incoming shots away from her ally. Batman provided support by hurling explosive batarangs to take most of them out. John appeared from behind the remainder with his ghost-like powers to ambush them. Before they could even relax, another passage opened for another squad of invaders to come running in and shooting at them. "They blocked us off again," said Diana. "It's almost as if they know what we're thinking," said Batman, throwing an explosive batarang to force the aliens to scatter. "He's not wrong about that, I can somehow sense that this factory is alive in a way and they're using it to their advantage," said Kurama. "This complicates things," thought Naruto. "Any ideas, John?" The trio turned towards the green Martian, only to see him standing still with his eyes glowing. John. The glowing faded away before John replied, "Superman and Hawkgirl are down, they have failed." "What? Are you sure?" asked Diana worriedly, only to receive a solemn nod from him. "Then we have to hurry up and destroy this factory so we can go and rescue them," said Naruto, getting agreements from the others. "This way, hurry." John flew through a passageway with Batman and the others following close behind. They hurried through winding tunnels as the openings were sealing themselves to obstruct their path, confirming what Kurama said earlier about this place. Diana and John flew up to an opening above them, while Naruto and Batman made use of the chakra chain and grapple gun respectively to reach up to it, where Diana was waiting for them to cover their retreat. "We lost them," said Diana. "For the moment, they'll eventually find us in here." Batman put on a pair of brass knuckles charged with high volts of electricity. John spoke up. "Look," the group turned to see that they're in a large room which has several aliens moving about and operating on multiple control panels, and at the center is some sort of chamber which has a red crystal floating inside it. It's the central core. "How can we shut it down?" asked Batman. John pointed at the red crystal in the chamber, the ion matrix crystal. "If we can remove that, we'll shut down the whole plant. I'll need a diversion." "One diversion coming right up, hidden mist jutsu." Naruto lifted one arm up with a half-ram hand sign and the other with same hand sign at his chest, and a thick mist covered the area. Batman seized the opportunity to fling a batarang to slice through a pipe which spilled out black liquid on a pair of aliens below. Diana herself pulled out a pipe to release a thick smoke in addition to the mist. That was more than enough for John as he turned ghost-like and phased into the ground and head towards the crystal whilst Naruto, Batman and Diana kept the aliens busy. John reappeared near the chamber and quickly grabbed a distracted alien and tossed him over the edge to the ground below, then he went to grab the red crystal and take it out of the chamber. Suddenly the entire factory began to quake with parts of it exploding, however John was unaware for a white alien appearing from a ledge above and shot him with its blaster. He let out a cry of pain and fell to the ground along with the crystal. "John." Diana quickly knocked away the surrounding and quickly flew over to him. "Get him out of here," Batman called out as he punched an alien with his electrified brass knuckles. "We'll cover your escape." Naruto flung a handful of kunai wrapped in tags which released high amounts of voltage upon contact with some of the aliens. Diana nodded in affirmation and quickly flew away from the fight, however one of the aliens pushed a button on the nearby control as the passage ahead began to seal itself up. Batman used his grapple gun to catch up with them whilst grabbing the crystal along the way, with Naruto tossing explosive tags behind him and triggering them to delay the pursuit. But Diana and John barely got through, with Naruto and Batman being trapped on the other side. Batman repeatedly punched at the wall in hopes of breaking it down, and Naruto began preparing a Rasengan to blast it away. The duo turned to see the white alien slowly close in on them, with blasters at the ready and Sigma screeching at them not to get any closer to Naruto and Batman. The purple dragon tattoo on Naruto's shoulder blades glowed faintly as he thought of a plan out of this tight situation, knowing full well that the aliens have no intentions of taking prisoners. "Zenko." Batman. Diana realized that they didn't make to the other side and was rushing back to save them, but as she got close, there was the sound of laser fire with a wall bulging several times, and then there was silence. "No." Her eyes widened in disbelief at what had just happened and still wanted to go and help had it not been for John stopping her from going any further. "Wait. There's nothing we can do more for them," said John. "You mean there?" Diana couldn't bring herself to finish the sentence. "John finished for her with sadness. Diana could only look back at the sealed tunnel with sorrow, especially for the masked warrior who was friendly and cooperative, unlike the stories of men which her mother would tell her of Hera help us. While John and Diana thought Naruto and Batman was gunned down by the white alien invaders on the other side of the sealed tunnel, they were unaware of what was really occurring with the duo. Naruto focused on the enemy as they took aim with their blasters, ready to fire at them. "Get ready to move once I create an opening for our escape," Naruto whispered to Batman. The Dark Knight was confused at first, but nodded in affirmation to the plan. Right before the aliens opened fire, Naruto had many chakra chains to shoot out from his back and enclosed them in a dome-like structure, against which the lasers would then bounce off upon collision. The aliens soon stopped firing when their attacks proved ineffective. That was when the chains dispersed to reveal Naruto finishing the last set of hand seals and was taking in a deep breath wind style. Great breakthrough. Then he blew a large blast of wind to which knocked away everything in its path, which included the aliens. Sigmas joined in by opening its beak to unleash a stream of fire which fused with the wind to transform into a massive fiery blast. Batman was momentarily stunned at the sight of the powerful attack, but snapped back into focus as they ran down the now free pathway towards a possible exit. More white aliens appeared to attack them, but Naruto and the Dark Knight made use of their incendiary kunai and batarangs respectively to ward them off. "We need to find the exit quickly before they can box us in again," Batman called out. "There's no need to worry about finding a way out when I can simply make one." Naruto formed his signature hand sign to create a shadow clone, surprising Batman yet again as he watched them weave their hands around to conjure a large blue spiraling energy sphere, then held it before them giant Rasengan. They charged forward and rammed it into the wall to blast a large hole through it, but they kept going and continued blasting through wall after wall with Batman while the aliens were in pursuit of them. Eventually Naruto threw the last wall to emerge from the factory. They turned round to see the aliens backing away instead of continuing the chase. Batman looked up to the sky to see the sun shining its rays upon them. Just like I suspected, they seem to be highly susceptible to ultraviolet rays, which explains why they quickly constructed the factories to block out the sun. Like a stereotypical vampire, is there any way we can turn things around? "I feel that our backs are pretty much against the wall right now," asked Naruto. Batman held up the red crystal. "I believe I can modify the ion matrix crystal to perform the opposite of its original function. I hope you can do it fast so we can meet up with the others. I have to return to my lair over at Gotham to use the tools needed there to do so." "Okay, I'll come along and wait at Gotham before heading to Metropolis to back the others up and turn the tables on the invaders," said Naruto. Then both heroes began to make their way to Gotham City to prepare the means for a counterattack against the white aliens. Back in Metropolis, things were taking a turn for the worst. Numerous parts of buildings were broken apart and spread out among the streets alongside wrecked and burning vehicles. People were running in a state of panic and chaos, with a few others seizing the opportunity to break into stores and steal various items. The police and the military are doing everything they can to oppose the threat, but their crippled battle strength isn't putting the odds in their favor. Up above on the top of a tall building are Diana and John looking down at the ensuing chaos, with the former feeling appalled by it. She was expecting the citizens to at least join forces with their military to fight against the invaders, but instead they perform selfish acts in order to save themselves. She couldn't help but feel that they were not worth the deaths of the two fallen heroes. "Perhaps Mother was right about mankind, they're nothing but untamed savages," Diana spoke with disgust. "Do not judge them too harshly, they act out of fear," John spoke up. The duo didn't need to wait much longer as Flash and a recovered Green Lantern arrived at the building, having been called over by John via telepathy. "Sorry we're late, had to stop and help civilians," said Green Lantern. "What did you call us back for?" asked Flash. Diana pointed at the alien factory ahead of them. "Superman has been captured, he's trapped somewhere inside there with Hawkgirl." Whoa, Flash was finding it hard to believe that someone like the Man of Steel could have been captured, even when he had backup. "Where's Batman and Zenko?" asked Green Lantern, but Diana remained silent, so John spoke instead. "They acted heroically to the very end. The bats and ninja dude are gone." Flash was in disbelief. He knew Batman was always the kind of guy to get out of many jams, and also saw how Zenko operated just like the ninjas he saw on TV, but far more advanced than them. "This is not good, definitely not good," Green Lantern said this with a frown on his face. Moments later, the group had arrived close to the proximity of the factory, which was currently guarded by an alien walker with Green Lantern and Flash scoping the area. "I can't believe we're doing this again," said Flash. "If Superman and Hawkgirl are in there, someone's go to rescue them. You're sure they're in there, aren't you?" Green Lantern turned towards John, who remained silent. "John. Yes, your friends are alive, but we must act quickly. The Imperium is coming," John spoke ominously. Flash quirked an eyebrow in confusion. "The who?" "The Supreme Intelligence which controls these invaders, we have met before." Flashed towards Green Lantern to whisper to him, "Can we trust this space case? What choice do we have?" Green Lantern whispered back before speaking to the rest. "Okay, we're going in." Flash, "Create a diversion, Diana, watch my back." Diana placed her hands on her hips with a smirk, "You want to rely on an amateur?" Green Lantern could only growl inwardly at the snarky response before speaking up, "Alright, let's move." The group split into two directions with Green Lantern, Diana and John going down a route while Flash took another with the ladder running in between the alien walker's legs to appear behind it. Flash threw a rock at the head to catch its attention as the alien robot turned round and began firing at him, but he quickly outran the laser fire to strategically position himself close to a hidden explosive mine, then taunted it to attack him again. The alien walker approached, then raised one of its legs to stomp on him, only for the speedster to move out of the way for it to strike the landmine and have the leg destroyed. The walker, unable to maintain its balance, toppled to the ground and exploded. The group made their way inside the factory with Flash soon rejoining them soon after. A pair of alien invaders were patrolling the passageway, so John transformed into one of them and led them to the others before striking them both down from behind. The group continued on with their search for Superman and Hawkgirl with John in the lead, while cautiously keeping out of sight to avoid being detected by the alien invaders. They stopped before a wall where John placed a hand on it and concentrated his powers for a moment before speaking up. "I sense that they're somewhere behind these walls," said John. Diana approached the wall and tried to push it down to make a way through, but to no avail. "It's no use, we'll have to find another way." "Stand back." Green Lantern stepped forward and aimed his ring at the wall to fire a thin green energy beam and began to cut a hole through it. John looked up to the ceiling. "We haven't much time left." Eventually Green Lantern was able to cut a hole through the wall, and there they found Superman and Hawkgirl hung from the ceiling unconscious. They ran to help them, but John suddenly spoke up, "Wait. Something is not right." At that moment, the unconscious heroes suddenly woke up to reveal red eyes, confirming John's suspicions as the hole behind them quickly sealed itself up before they could pass through it. "It's a trap." Green Lantern called out an alert, then small openings appeared in the ceiling, which then proceeded to expel yellow gas that was all too familiar with Green Lantern and Flash. Everyone struggled for consciousness, but they eventually succumbed and laid out on the ground. The Superman and Hawkgirl stood before them with smirks on their faces before transforming to reveal that they're the alien invaders. Meanwhile, the Batplane was closing in on the outskirts, with Naruto riding on the wing, as he didn't want to attract much attention, and so had Sigmas revert to his chick form and stayed within the hood. When they had left Egypt, Batman had Naruto wait for him at the clock tower in Gotham City, while he headed to his lair to modify the Ion Matrix crystal to their advantage. Later on, they regrouped and made their way to Metropolis. Batman had the plane land close to the boundary before he and Zenko began their approach to the alien factory by foot. "Can you sense where Superman and the others are?" asked Batman. "Already did before we got here, and they're all together in one place, but they aren't moving. My best guess is that they're being held captive," Naruto replied. "So how's this device going to work?" "By inserting the component into the similar alien pod, it should reverse the factory's primary function and disperse the black clouds for the sun to shine through. And giving us the natural home advantage. I'm all for that." Naruto smiled behind the mask, but he sensed something which caused him to frown instead. "We must hurry. I sense something heading towards the city, something big. It must be the leader of the invaders. Let's go." The duo took several routes and avoided traversing the rooftops to avoid detection from the alien invaders until finally arriving at the factory. Naruto and Batman were able to find a way inside via a gaping hole in the wall. The moment they were inside, they then heard John's voice in their minds. "Zenko, Batman, can you hear me?" asked John. "Loud and clear. We're on our way towards your location, and Batman has the device ready to disable the factory. Have any idea where the control room is?" asked Naruto whilst making sure that no one was nearby to listen in. "The others and I are held in it. I'll use my powers to mentally shield you both to avoid being detected. Then we'll make our way over there quickly," said Batman. "Please hurry, the Imperium will arrive at any moment." "Got it," Naruto replied. John snapped back into focus as he, along with Superman and the rest of the group bound to a platform, looked up at white alien invaders, with one of them stepping before them, and began to speak up. "Earth's mightiest heroes." The alien then transformed into Senator Kelly. Superman was mildly surprised before glaring at him. "Welcome." "Just as Zenko thought, you really were an impostor all this time," said Superman, much to the surprise of the alien. "So you know of who I am. A pity that your very comrade lies dead alongside Batman," said Senator Kelly with a sneer, causing Superman to grit his teeth with rage. "This is far from over." "That's where you are wrong." The impostor pushed a button on a control panel next to him for the ceiling to open up widely for everyone to look up to the sky. There they saw a massive spaceship hovering overhead, and a smaller shuttle descended from it before coming down to land on the platform. The hatch opened up with a hiss as something descended from the shuttle. It resembles a giant violet jellyfish with black and white matter swirling within. Needless to say, it was very grotesque in appearance. All hail the Imperium. The putrid being floated towards the group, particularly John, and spoke to them via telepathy. John's, it's been a long time. It raised two of its tentacles upwards the part of the platform which John is on to move towards the Imperium and drop him. Two of the invaders stepped forward with grey staffs and struck him to unleash large amounts of voltage, which forcefully reverted John to his original form before collapsing to the ground, much to the horror of the heroes. That is much better, you have defied us for centuries. John struggled back to his feet, and I'll never bow down before you or any of your kind. Then we will personally see to finishing what should have been accomplished long ago, the elimination of the last Martian. The Imperium lashed out with its tentacles to grab John, then drew him within itself as he screamed out in pain. Let go of him, you filthy grrrrrr. Superman yelled as he struggled to break from his bonds, but to no avail. Yield to us, Johns, said the Imperium. Never. John refused defiantly. Why do you resist? Embrace this truth. After all these years you have finally lost. Have I? That response casted an unsettling feeling upon the Imperium. You're hiding something, a secret deep within the recesses of your mind. Is this another one of your Martian tricks? Do I sense fear? What are you hiding? The alien demanded. John transformed back into his manhunter form and yelled out now. Who? There was a loud explosion, and everyone turns towards the source, which happens to be close to the ion chamber. There they saw something which was extremely hard to believe. Batman and Zenko Flash spoke in disbelief. It can't be, they're alive. Diana was shocked, but inwardly happy to see the duo, especially Zenko, are alive and well. I mentally shielded them so they couldn't be detected, John grunted out in pain. Sorry we're late, needed to prep up for the retaliation strike, said Naruto, as Batman inserted the device through the damaged shield of the ion chamber to attach to the crystal and was activated, causing the crystal along with the fluid inside to change from red to blue. What have you done? Senator Kelly demanded. Reverse the ion charge, Batman replied rather bluntly. Destroy the crystal. The Imperium yelled out in rage. The alien invaders opened fire at the duo and the ion chamber, but Batman, quickly using a grappling gun, to swung away whilst Naruto performed a chakra-enhanced jump to evade the lasers which struck the chamber, but to no avail. It's shielded. Senator Kelly spoke in shock. In midair, Naruto called out to Batman, I'll keep this guy. Finally, we get to hit something, said Kurama excitedly. You know it, time to show him how a Konoha shinobi does things back in his neighborhood. Naruto dashed forwards at high speed in a zigzag pattern to avoid the laser fire from the aliens before leaping into the air and coming down with a flying kick to knock down one of them, then quickly cartwheeling to the side to evade an attack from behind. He quickly went up to one of the invaders to execute a 1-2 punch and a chakra-enhanced high kick to send it flying. Naruto quickly rolled to the right to avoid the next barrage of laser fire, then stood back with his hands blurring through a set of hand signs fire style. Phoenix Flower Jutsu. He opened his mouth to launch a salvo of fireballs to strike down many of the invaders, but there were still more running in to attack him and the others. Naruto went through another set of hand signs. Not done with you yet, wind style. Twin twisters. He swung his arms to conjure 2 large tornadoes and launched them to blow them away. Naruto was about to take a step forward when he felt heat coming from the dragon tattoos on his body and sensed their intentions. So you guys want a piece of the action? Well, I'll be an idiot to leave you out. Starting off with Inazuma. Naruto thrust out his hands as there was a flash of light before the draconic 3-section staff appeared in his hands. He grabbed one end and the middle of the staff to spinning the other end rapidly like a propeller to deflect the lasers shot at him, then swung an arm in an arc as a chakra chain shot out of his palm and wrapped around a small cluster of alien to hold them in place. Naruto rushed towards them whilst twirling the staff by one end as it emitted an orange aura before slamming it down upon them to unleash a large pillar of energy to destroy them. Naruto grabbed both ends of the staff and bashed the aliens rapidly with its draconic energy, along with several kicks added to the mix. Whilst evading the shots fired, he somersaulted overhead to land in the middle of the group as the staff glowed once more with energy. Let's go, Inazuma. He then held the middle section of the staff with both hands and proceeded to twirl it rapidly over the chest and back while alternating between leaning back and forward with the ends lashing out to strike at high speeds. Time to tag out, come forth Banrai. The 3-section staff switched places with the red chain sickles as Naruto was now slashing the enemy with twice the speed and agility. He flipped into the air and was stomping on their heads like stepping stones running lightning. He plunged Banrai to the ground, causing red lightning to trail along the surface and shock. Naruto slammed into an alien with a shoulder charge and struck out a few times with Banrai before knocking away with a roundhouse kick. Naruto dashed sideways to dodge another salvo of laser fire and began to charge Banrai up with energy for an attack, annihilating Dancing Dragon. He moved at blurring speeds and began slashing in a combo, all the while disappearing and reappearing amongst the enemies, before finally stopping in the middle with Banrai no longer glowing. "Kill him already, he's just one human." Senator Kelly yelled out in frustration. He himself was firing at the ninja, but the target was just too evasive. Naruto smirked behind the mask. "Oh, you guys are that impatient for more playmates? Then how about this for a stand-in before the real deal?" He crossed the middle and index fingers of both hands together. Shadow clone jutsu. There was a large puff of smoke which cleared away to reveal many duplicates of the original, much to the shock of everyone present. "Now there's enough of little old me to go around, let's mess these guys up, boys." He then switched Banrai out for the Byakko, the draconic Japanese spear, and dashed at the enemy. "Yes, boss." The clones called out in chorus. Then they all charged forwards to engage the enemy and began taking them out with either ninjutsu or taijutsu. "Man, look at Zenko go, he puts the stereotypical ninja to shame right now," said Flash in amazement. He had heard of the new hero's prowess, but actually witnessing it is a whole different story. His skill with the weapons and use of elemental attacks is straight out of a cartoon or comic book, but in high definition, and it's been a while since he saw someone move around that quickly aside Superman. "And to think I called him and Diana rookies, this guy fights like he had been in a life full of battles," thought Green Lantern as he watched Zenko fight against the alien invaders. The ninja battles to the point that every action is viewed as instinctual and unlike any hero or villain he had ever encountered during his time as a member of the Green Lantern Corps. The way he fights, it's no wonder how he and Batman were able to avoid getting killed by the invaders, thought Superman. "As I thought, the amount of experience he has is close or if possible, surpassing that of ours. How many and what kind of battles has he taken part of to reach up to this level?" thought Batman as he used a laser gun to help free the others from their bindings. The Dark Knight had been trained by ninjas during his younger days and could see traces if not higher levels of training from the ninja's actions, making him all the more curious about his origins. "By the gods of Olympus, I never would have thought that I would encounter a man would fight with the burning aura of a warrior. I wonder whom his teachers are to be able to train him into such a state," thought Diana as she watched her ally engage the enemy on his own and could see how he made it a priority to make the invaders focus on him and away from them and the ion chamber until its process is complete. Even now she wishes to be free and immediately moved to assistance him before there was a chance of him being overwhelmed. He fights like it's second nature to him, thought Hawkgirl. Although highly proficient with the mace, she was also experienced in other weapons and so was really impressed with Zenko upon seeing the way he wielded his weapons. Soon enough, the reversal of the ion charge was now complete as the factory launched a blue energy beam to the sky and pierced through the dark clouds, causing them to dissipate, and the sunlight finally shone through. The sun's UV rays effect was instantaneous for any which was shown upon melted into a puddle with screams of agony, while the others quickly took cover to avoid evaporation. John managed to break free from the Imperium's grasp and grabbed it by the tentacles before forcefully pulling it into the sunlight, all the while taunting it. "You live underground and shun the light, why? Does it burn your pale putrid skin?" "No." The Imperium shrieked in pain as its skin steamed and bubbled as the sun shone upon it. "Oh, that's one nasty sunburn," Flash commented, looking pretty revolted. Superman seized the opportunity to absorb the sun's rays to re-energize and then used his heat vision to free himself. He tore off a large part of the upper platform and raised it to serve as a shield for Batman to work on freeing the others without interference, which he did so with Diana first. Superman used his heat vision to free Hawkgirl, with her doing the same by using her mace to smash the restraints holding down Green Lantern. Diana smashed the binds holding Flash as he dashed straight into the fight to help out Zenko. Hawkgirl went swooping in with her mace swinging left and right to bludgeon the alien invaders. Flash was nothing more than a red blur as he blitzed through the opposition and knocking them out of his way. Green Lantern used his ring to encase his enemies before slamming them hard into the ground. Diana and Superman took to tearing open large parts of the factory's roof to let in more sunlight and exposing the invaders to it, much to their horror. Naruto looked to see Batman currently taking cover behind a pillar while a group of invaders continued to fire at the Dark Knight and immediately dashed over to help lightning style. Electro grenade, a small blue sphere of electrical chakra formed in a palm which he then threw at the aliens to unleash a discharge, causing them to twitch and spasm due to the afflicted paralysis. Batman then seized the opportunity to jump out from behind to the pillar to throw an explosive batarang at the immobile invaders and destroy them. He simply nodded at Naruto and moved on to face the next enemy. That ugly menace is getting away," said Kurama. Naruto turned around to see the Imperium retreating into its shuttle as John laid on the ground nearby before Superman flew to him to help, only for more of the invaders to fire at them. He shot out a chakra chain which was fused with wind chakra to pierce the wall behind them to make a hole for the sunlight to shine through and burn them. Diana saw the shuttle attempting to escape to the mothership and quickly launched her lasso to prevent it from escaping. The shuttle fired a laser beam at Diana, which forced to block the shots with her bracelets and to let go of the rope. Hawkgirl flew at the shuttle and proceeded smash at it repeatedly, giving Diana the chance to retake the rope and pull it away from the mothership. They heard a screech and looked to see Sigmas in his true phoenix form with Naruto on his back, with Gunshin the draconic katana flying up to help them as he too began slashing at the hull of the shuttle, with Hawkgirl resuming her attacks. Now Gunshin punished them with the flames of the Dragon King. The blade of the katana lit up in blue flames before he swung it to unleash a large crescent to slice cleanly through the shuttle, with Hawkgirl's last strike serving as the death blow. The Imperium shrieked in despair as its completely destroyed shuttle plummeted into the factory and almost crushed Batman, had it not been for Flash getting him out of the way in time, then exploded upon crashing to the ground. "We need to get out of here," said Flash as he saw parts of the factory beginning to explode. "Not without them." Superman pointed at the people trapped in pods nearby. He used his heat vision to break them out, but two of the alien invaders started to fire at him, but a recovered John appeared from behind and quickly took them out. "Flash, give me a hand." Flash rushed on over to help but was a little put off by the slime on the Miu Gross. "No time to be whiny, ready." Some of Naruto's surviving clones jumped up to the platform and began carrying the people out of the pods. "Don't call me that." Flash picked one up and ran after the rest. "The whole place is about to blow," Hawkgirl called out. "Everybody stay close to me." Superman, Naruto's clones and Flash gathered the civilians in one place before Green Lantern used his ring to encase them in a bubble, then immediately took off with the others quickly following after him, and soon they escaped from the exploding factory. The black clouds are clearing away and the sunlight now shines upon the earth once more, however the heroes saw that the alien mothership was making its escape. "Those cowardly aliens are fleeing," said Diana angrily. "They won't get very far though," said Naruto with a smirk. "What do you mean?" asked Superman confusedly. "Wait for it." Everyone looked up to see the alien mothership suddenly explode in a rather massive way, then they all turned to a chuckling Zenko. "What did you do?" asked Green Lantern. "Well, I was fighting the aliens before you guys joined in. I had Sigmas carry a shadow clone up to their ship and place a lot of specially customized exploding tags, then set them to detonate once they're clear of the Earth's atmosphere. I'm pretty sure that no one wants these guys to go leeching off another planet," said Naruto, getting nods of understanding and agreement. "Not to mention they were infused with my chakra. Good to see that they performed up to my expectations," said Kurama proudly. "Yeah, but I think we should lay off them unless under extreme emergencies," thought Naruto. "Whatever you say," the fox shrugged. "But now, we need to deal with the rest of the invaders left on the planet," said Superman. "Then let's get to it. I could use some R&R afterwards," said Naruto. Flash nodded in agreement. "You and me both, pal." The TV switched on to display Snapper Carr standing amongst the ruins of the alien factory days later. This is Snapper Carr. In the aftermath of the Metropolis meltdown, majority of the alien invaders have been eliminated. Superman and a tag group of heroes have driven out remaining packets of resistance, helping to restore order around the world. The screen switches to display Superman and the other heroes, destroying alien walkers and factories in different countries. Despite this stunning victory, some are warning that we must remain vigilant. The scene changes to a press conference with a dark-skinned military general speaking from a podium. "We got lucky this time. What will we do when another group of aliens attempt to invade our planet just like these ones almost did?" The screen was turned off to reveal that it was Batman watching the news in his Batcave. He reclined on his seat with a hand on his chin as he thought on the statement which the general had just made. Sometime later, a massive space station was seen orbiting the Earth. Inside, Superman was looking through the window in awe at the sight of the Earth. "Incredible, do your stockholders know about this, Bruce?" Superman turned towards the approaching Batman. "The blind item hidden in the aerospace R&D budget, this watchtower will act as an early warning system for detecting other threats of invasion from space," said Batman. The elevator door opened up for Flash and Diana, who now goes by the name Wonder Woman, to walk towards them while holding cups of iced matcha. "And it has a fully stocked kitchen," said Flash, then he offered a cup to Superman. "Iced matcha?" "No thanks," the Man of Steel politely refused. Flash simply shrugged before sipping on the drink. "Suit yourself, more for me." Diana sipped her own and was quite surprised with the foreign but pleasant taste. They don't have these on Themyscira." "Stick around, princess, I'll show you the ropes." "Perhaps I will." "Sigmas, wait up." Everyone turned to see the phoenix flying around whilst chirping excitedly, with Zenko running after the flaming bird and trying to catch it, and was able to do so successfully before turning towards the others. "Sorry about that, it's our first time in outer space," and Sigmas was overexcited. "Who wouldn't?" said Flash with a shrug of his shoulders. Then Green Lantern and Hawkgirl descended from the higher level to join the group, with the former speaking up, "An impressive installation, most impressive, but what's it to do with us?" Superman was silent for a moment, then he spoke. "I once thought that I could protect the world by myself, but I was wrong." He gestured through the window towards the Earth. "Working together, we saved the planet, and I believe that if we stayed together as a team, we would be a force that could truly work for the ideals of peace and justice." "What? Like a bunch of super friends?" asked Flash. Superman smiled in response. "More like a Justice League. Do you have any idea how corny that sounds? But maybe the big guy's got a point, with all of us behind it, it just might work." Flash strode forward and placed his hand on Superman's own. "Count me in." "Me too," Green Lantern joined in by placing his hand over theirs. "And me," Hawkgirl was next. Diana looked a bit hesitant. "My mother may not approve, but I find man's world to be intriguing. I'll gladly join." She walked up to them and placed her hand over theirs. The group turned their attention towards Naruto. "So how about it, Zenko? This new club could use an awesome ninja like you," said Flash. Naruto was at first silent for a moment before speaking up. "You kinda remind me of another group which no longer exists, much to my relief, but you're doing this for a much nobler cause." Then he pulled down the hood to reveal his blonde spiky hair, before taking off the fox mask to reveal a face mask covering the lower half of his face. "So, as long as this team never strays from its main goal, then you'll always have my full support." Then he joined in by placing his hands over Diana's, causing her to notice that the fingers felt soft to the touch. Superman turned towards Batman, who was standing away from them. "So what about you, Batman?" "I am not really a people person, but when you need help and you will call me," Batman replied. "Understood," then we're all agreed. "But wait, where's John?" Diana spoke up. Superman and Naruto were able to locate where John is at the control panel and ascended to meet with him. The Green Martian was silently looking out into the deep space as they approached him. "John, are you alright?" asked Superman. "A rather dumb question to ask," said Kurama, only to be shushed by Naruto. "My family and loved ones are all gone. I am the last of my kind," said John. "I know the feeling." Superman placed a hand on the alien's shoulder in understanding, especially since he is, or rather was, the last Kryptonian until he met Kara. "Now Mars is dead and I am alone in the universe." "You're not truly alone, John." Naruto getting the Martian to turn to him. "You still have the bonds shared between you and the ones close to you deep within your heart. As long as you have those bonds and make new ones in addition, you'll never be alone." John looked into his eyes and could see signs of loss in them, and yet he still held on strongly. "Zenko is right, we'll never replace your family, but we would be honored if you could learn to call Earth your home," said Superman with a smile. John looked at both heroes silently for a moment, then a small smile appeared on his face. "Come on, the others are waiting for you too." The trio descended from the control panel to meet up with the rest of the newly formed Justice League, hoping that they would be well prepared for the tribulations and battles soon to occur in the future. Naruto was currently walking along the sidewalk of Gotham City in the daytime, well dressed casually under his disguise, with Kurama walking alongside him, and Sigmas was perched on his shoulder. It has been about a month since he and the other heroes and heroines saved the Earth from the alien invasion, then later came together to form the Justice League, with the sole purpose of protecting the planet Earth and at times other planets. The knowledge of other planets existing outside the Earth really boggled Naruto, and at times had himself wondering if the same could be applied to the elemental nations. "Things are rather peaceful, don't you think so, Kurama?" thought Naruto. "Rather boring if you ask me. I know crimes is in abundance here in Gotham, especially at night, but it's pretty much the regulars with only the big ones showing up rarely," said Kurama via their mind link, which Sigmas could also connect with, but has yet to speak to either of them. "True, but I've yet to run into guys like the Joker and Bane. Thought they would be targeting me, given that I'm now affiliated with Batman." "Well, the Brooder did tell us that they are of the cunning variety, so they might to find out any sort of vulnerability before striking," said Kurama, then he smirked like they can. "Maybe so, but we shouldn't underestimate any of them." "HMPH, if you say so," the fox simply scoffed, with Naruto shaking his head at the beepiness of the fox. By now he thought to have stopped underestimating enemies he has yet to meet. They continued to walk, occasionally glancing at the regular activities around them. Suddenly they heard a woman scream from behind them, to see a lady screaming after a man running away with a purse in his hands, getting the idea of what's going on. "Stop, thief, give back my purse," shouted the distressed woman, but she was ignored and no one even tried to stop the thief, further increasing her despair. Naruto frowned at this and patiently waited for the thug to pass by him, then quickly reached up to grab him by the back of the collar and pull him back strongly. The thug turned to shake himself free, but a fist slammed into his face, with an audible crack being heard by those close, losing consciousness and getting a broken nose as a bonus. Naruto crouched low to pick up the purse and turned towards the woman, run up to him with a look of relief as she took the purse from him. "Thank you very much for stopping him," said the woman gratefully. Naruto smiled and waved his hand. No thanks needed, I just did what I had to do to help. He glanced at the thug on the ground with a small frown, then brought out his phone to call the police. I'll get the cops to take care of this guy soon enough. Later on the Gotham police arrived, acquired their report before carrying the thug away. Naruto bade the lady farewell and resumed on their walk, though Kurama noticed that he was deep in thought and decided to speak up. Hey kid, what's got your head up in the clouds? Asked Kurama. Sigmas chirped in agreement with the fox. I've been thinking of moving out of Gotham to another city, thought Naruto. Kurama quirked an eyebrow at his partner's response. What makes you want to do that? Well sure, there's lots of crimes in the city both day and night, but I kinda feel squeezed in with Batman and his team having this place as their turf and all. In other words, I wanna get a turf of my own, you know. I get what you mean. Personally, I can still tell that he doesn't really trust you entirely, especially since he has little info about you, which is obvious since we didn't exactly originate here. But since we're in Justice League, you would be going to lots of places. True, but a main base of my own sounds a bit nicer to the ears, thought Naruto. If you say so, maybe one more run before moving house. Naruto thought for a moment before nodding in agreement. Sure thing, I'll get back to the apartment to make our travel plans and have a small discussion with the landlord too. Later on, as the sun had set to mark the beginning of the night, Naruto had made the necessary preparations and made a phone call to the director of the publishing house about his relocation, to which said person told him to be sure to send his new mailing address after he had settled in. Naruto made his way up to the top of the roof and used his senses to make sure that there was no one around to see him. Then he went behind the large air vent and used a smoke pellet to hide before changing into his hero outfit, with Sigmas tucking into his hood as usual, while Kurama was within the seal for a nap. The hooded ninja took to leaping along the rooftops to pretty much random directions towards wherever he feels like something interesting might happen, but paying attention to the radio chatter from his earpiece just in case. Naruto was in midair from a jump between roofs when his ears picked up the sounds of a police car from a couple blocks away from his position and was also hearing the sounds of gunshots as well. With a smirk behind the mask, Naruto raced towards the sources of the sounds and easily intercepted them via roof jumping. He looked down below at the streets to see a police cruiser pursuing a black convertible, with one of the thugs firing at the police. Naruto was about to jump in to help when he saw someone else chasing after the convertible and recognized it to be Robin. Looks like one of Batman's partners is already on the scene, might as well drop in to lend a hand and say hi, said Naruto. He jumped off the roof to the streets before firing a chakra chain to swing after them. He saw Robin land on the trunk of the vehicle and the thugs aimed their guns at him to fire, but the young hero jumped and flipped around skillfully to avoid the shots whilst kicking the guns out of their hands, much to their anger, before attempting to grab him. Naruto somersaulted in the air and took out a couple of shuriken at the rear tires to blow them up, causing the convertible to get out of control. Robin jumped off and used his grappling hook to swing away and land on the street as the car crashed into a lamppost. Then he turned to see Naruto land next to him. "Fancy seeing you here, Zenko," said Robin. "I was in the neighborhood looking for trouble when I heard the commotion here and came over to lend a hand," said Naruto with a shrug of the shoulders. "Did it have to include sending a car out of control with me on it? I know you've handled worse than this, so it's pretty much a cakewalk for you." "Touché," they heard groaning and turned to see the thugs climb out of the wreckage and try to make a run. The heroes looked at each other and nodded in a silent agreement. Then Robin took out a pair of bolos from his belt and threw it at two of the thugs to entangle their legs and trip them up. Naruto thrust both arms out to launch two chakra chains to wrap around two of the thugs' necks, then pulled them towards him with a powerful jerk. Before performing a double lariat for the knockout, Robin struck the back of the thugs' necks to do the same. The two heroes used ninja wire and handcuffs to restrain them as the police walked up to them. "Thanks for the help, you two, we truly appreciate it," said the policeman gratefully. "It's no biggie," said Robin. "We're glad to help out," Naruto added in. It took a while before the police van arrived and the thugs were shoved inside to be sent to the police station. The officer saluted them before driving away. "So what are you going to do now?" asked Robin. He had ran into the hero before and found him to be rather amicable to be around at times, unlike the always serious Batman. He sparred with a ninja many times, but has yet to win a match against him. "Pretty much what you're also going to do, keep an eye out for more crimes before turning in for the night," said Naruto. "Okay, guess I'll see you around then." Robin took out a grapple hook and fired it to swing away to who knows where. Naruto smiled as he watched the young hero leave. "Kids pretty good, would make a good genin back home." "Apparently so, but let's get back to business, shall we?" Kurama spoke up. "Roger that." Naruto threw a Hirishin kunai to a nearby rooftop and flashed over to it before leaping away in search of crimes to impede. After an hour of roof leaping, Naruto is currently meditating atop a gargoyle statue of a tall tower. He was gathering nature chakra, which is rather taking him a while to do so, due to the severe lack of nature around, him being a sage, as well as a ninja whose village lies deep in a forest, has him feeling very uncomfortable and slightly nauseous. Soon enough, he attained sage mode and began to search for anything unusual which he did, and it was very odd by this world standards anyways. He was sensing strange activities from the vegetation several miles away from his position, almost at the outskirts of the city. Not only that, he was also sensing someone who seems to also be highly attuned to nature like him. I wonder who it is that can commune with nature like this. I can only think of one person most likely. Naruto then spoke up. Sigmas, I need a ride to somewhere. The young phoenix chirped an affirmation before hopping out of his hood and transforming into its true form as Naruto jumped onto its back, then took off in the direction which Naruto told it to go. It didn't take them too long till they were flying above what looks to be an abandoned botanical garden, though not exactly abandoned, given that he senses the plants be far more healthy than any plant growing by itself. If it is who I think it is, better watch yourself, said Kurama. I know Kurama, though personally I've been wanting to meet her for a while now. Hearsays can't inform one so much as from the horse's own mouth, as they say, said Naruto. He had Sigmas land on the rooftop before cautiously gaining entrance through a skylight and silently descending to the ground with a chakra chain. With his sage mode still active, Naruto walked through the pathways with vegetation around him at every corner, whilst taking note that the amount of nature energy here is quite a lot than in the city, and the deeper he went, the more the plants and trees appeared larger. He arrived at what appears to be the center of the area, and there he saw the source of the strange source of nature energy kneeling before a small patch full of beautiful flowers. She is a woman with long wavy red hair and light green skin, wearing a one-piece green outfit adorned with leaves and green vines extending over her limbs. Needless to say that Naruto found her to be very beautiful, with her hair reminding him of his mother. The blonde ninja knew who this is. She is known to be Poison Ivy, an eco-terrorist with the ability to control plants and an expert on anything relating to them. The Redeed suddenly stood up and looked directly at where Naruto was hiding, much to his surprise, for he was sure that he had hidden himself, that not even Batman would be able to locate him for a while, and Sage Mode should have masked his presence. There's no point in hiding anymore, my children had long since told me of your presence, said Poison Ivy. She watched as Naruto jumped from the tree and landed on the clearing. Before I know about you, you're the new hero who goes by the name Zenko, and is one of the heroes who defeated the aliens during the invasion. That's my reputation presides me now, said Naruto with a shrug. Indeed, though it's unfortunate that your hero career ends here. She thrusts her hand out as she commanded the vines and roots to attack the ninja. The plants were just a few meters away from him when they suddenly stopped for a moment before withdrawing themselves, much to her shock or disbelief, or maybe both. What? Why are you not attacking him? She listened to the voices of the plants and was stunned at their response. Cannot harm war more one with nature sage protector. She couldn't believe what they were telling her and turned to glare at the source of this strange development. What did you do to my babies for them to not attack you? Naruto crossed his arms while tilting his head slightly to the side. I did nothing, I'm simply in a special state which I was trained in to become one with nature around me. That's impossible, only I am capable of communing with them and no one else. Actually, there's one person in my village who was able to create and manipulate plant life. He even created a special place called the Forest of Death, which no one would dare enter at the cost of their life. The villagers would have mistaken you for your abilities if you were there, said Naruto, referring to the first Hokage with his wood release. Not to forget Yamato as well as for me, I possess a unique energy that has a positive effect on nature. Poison Ivy continued to glare. I refuse to believe unless you prove it. Naruto looked around for a few moments before his eyes set upon a potted plant, and by the looks of it is yellow and wilting, signs of a disease called bacterial wilt, from what he could remember from Ino teaching him about plants for his mini garden. Naruto approached the plant and placed a palm on it with Kurama channeling chakra through him. Ivy watched in fascination as a yellow aura emitted from the ninja's hand and flowed into the plant and was shocked to see it growing quickly and appearing more healthy than last seen. She even heard the rejuvenated plant whisper a thank you to him. Is that proof enough for you? Asked Naruto. This man, he could prove himself useful against those people harming the plants. Perhaps I could sway him to my side, thought Poison Ivy. She saucily approached the ninja whilst releasing pheromones from her body into the air around. Indeed it is, perhaps we could come to an agreement. Naruto frowned behind his mask and he noticed that the atmosphere is thick with a foreign scent which he was sure wasn't there before, and it seems to be originating from Poison Ivy herself. He felt his senses dulling for a few moments, but an automatic quick burst of his chakra restored them to normal. Trying to control me, eh? Well, I'll just have to disappoint her, thought Naruto. He saw her reaching out for his mask and allowed her to remove it, but when she reached for the face mask, he poked her forehead with a finger. I believe that's enough for a freebie, and by the way, I'm immune to any kind of poison or pheromones which you would try to use on me. He wasn't wrong. At first Kurama and his Uzumaki genes granted him a strong healing factor, later on the sage training, true bonding with Kurama, and bearing the Yang seal, made him immune to poison such that his cells would break them down and create an immunity to them. Poison Ivy was in shock at the revelation and became angered as the ninja's blue eyes twinkled with mischief and proceeded to attack him with punches and kicks. Naruto was rather impressed with her skills in close combat as he blocked and evaded her attacks. About over 10 minutes, Naruto jumped away from a visibly exhausted Poison Ivy who was still glaring at him. "How dare you make a fool out of me?" she yelled at him. "I did little of the sort, on the other hand you tried to control me, which I couldn't agree with." Naruto leaned back against a tree with several flowers around him, growing from the influence of his chakra. "With your power I would be able to punish those people for destroying nature." "Punishing, sure, but not to the point of killing. I understand your love of nature since my village is literally entitled Konohagakure, which means the village hidden in the leaves. I can't help but disagree with your methods because you would have so much more to lose," said Naruto. "What are you talking about?" Poison Ivy demanded. "As far as she's concerned, she is getting rid of the ones responsible for nature's destruction. You may have killed those harming nature, but what about those who worked under them to earn money to cater for their families? Mothers and children waiting for their husbands' fathers to return safely to them. Elderly parents awaiting the visitation of their children and grandchildren, but your actions would have the unfortunate side effect of preventing that from ever happening. Unlike villains like the Joker among others, your reasons are far nobler than theirs," said Naruto. Poison Ivy opened her mouth to retort but stopped in her thoughts. All she wanted was to stop the instigators of destroying plant life, and that was it. She never did give much thought about the after effects and would shrug it off. But now the thought of her breaking up happy families made her feel no different from her sworn enemies. Perhaps it was why Batman and his partners do everything to stop her, recalling his anger when he saw the people she had turned into bark and suspected he personally knew one of them well. "So what would you have me do then, let them continue to harm nature?" she asked quietly. "I'm not telling you to leave them be, but rather search for a more peaceful route in your mission. Surely you're aware of many others that care for nature as well. If you turn to them, I'm sure without a doubt that they would assist in protecting the plant life, especially with them able to appeal to the public to help. I can even help you as well along with finding any hidden agendas within the opposition. This way lives won't ever be lost and certain individuals will be rightfully judged, whether plant or human, all life is precious. This is a lot to take, but with what I've done in the past, I doubt they would listen." The eco-terrorist looked unsure of herself. "I understand, but I hope you can give it a try. You're one of the few whom I felt didn't need to be labeled a villain, you just needed to follow the right path. If you do so then you would always have my support." "And what makes you think that I wouldn't follow your advice?" asked Poison Ivy. "I can tell you're a good person, you just didn't have a good start like me, but there's still the chance of living better than before," said Naruto, confusing her of what he meant by him having a rough life like hers. She saw him reach into his overcoat and take out a tri-pronged kunai with strange inscriptions on the handle as he approached, causing her to tense, but then he held it out to her. "What is it?" she asked cautiously. "This Hiroshin kunai created by my dad, which enables him to teleport to it, no matter the distance, which I can also do. Simply throw it when you need me and I'll appear." Naruto walked away before looking back with an eye smile. "I hope to see you again sometime, and please think about what I said. A beautiful woman like you doesn't deserve to be incriminated, but rather supported." Then he left, and Ivy heard the plants whisper for him not to leave. "He's an odd hero, any other hero would have tried to detain me, but he let me go with an advice and potential support." She looked at the healthy potted plant with a warm smile. "He really is an odd one." Meanwhile, Naruto had long since left the abandoned botanical garden and rode on Sigmus's back to return to the city. He stopped a few more crime activities before turning in for the rest of the night, or to be more exact, morning. Naruto woke up a couple hours later and got himself dressed before leaving the apartment to hail down a cab to transport him to the Gotham airport for a booked flight to his destination. He had Sigmus fly above the building while he went through the basic procedures before stealthily tucking into the jacket when boarding the plane. It was a long and uneventful flight, with Naruto whiling away the time by reading through a couple of brochures available to him until the pilot made an announcement for preparation for their forthcoming landing. Eventually they arrived at the airport and Naruto was soon standing at the entrance with a look of relief. "Here we are guys, our new home San Francisco," said Naruto gleefully as he marveled the places around him. Then he reached into the pocket of his jacket to scroll through the info he had saved yesterday. "And now for us to get a place to crash. I rather prefer that we get a house of our own," said Kurama. I'm planning for that too, just need to line up our pockets with cash. I might need to find another job aside from republishing Pervy Sage's books and writing some stories of my own. Once having enough money, that's when I can buy a house, so in the meantime we'll make do with an apartment, thought Naruto, getting a grunt of affirmation from the Vulpine Biju. Naruto called for a cab to take him to 800 Indiana St. San Francisco. There he met up with the landlord and came into terms with the landlord to getting a unit comprising of 3 bedrooms and 5 bathrooms at the cost of $7,760, with him being allowed to bring in pets for an additional payment. Naruto deposited a $1,000 for an installment and received a key to the room before going to it. He let Kurama out of the seal, with Sigmus's curiosity having him explore their new home. Naruto was rather impressed with the room since he saw the pictures on the brochure, as it has the basic along with a patio. Naruto took to unsealing his clothes and other stuff from his scrolls and placing them at suitable places, like his clothes in the closet and the books at the bookshelves. He sat on the couch and was about to turn on the TV to catch anything interesting on. Suddenly he heard beeping coming from the pocket of his jacket and reached in to take what appears to be an earpiece, which he put in his ear and pressed a button to open a channel. "This Zenko here," said Naruto. Kurama, who had been sitting next to him, quirked an eyebrow in interest. "Zenko, this is Hawkgirl. We just picked up 3 alien signatures entering the atmosphere and towards a populated city. We may not know their purpose here, but we're going to find out their reason," said Hawkgirl. "I'll suit up and wait for your arrival over there with a Hirishin kunai in hand for me to warp to." "Roger," Hawkgirl out. Naruto ended the connection and quickly rushed to his bedroom to change into his hero gear. Afterwards he was back in the main room and heading for the patio, Kurama and Sigmus getting to his shoulders, with the latter smirking. "Looks like something exciting is about to happen, eh?" asked Kurama. "Pretty much, yeah, hoping for a fight?" asked Naruto, despite knowing the answer already. "Like you need to even ask." Naruto felt the pulse from the Hirishin kunai given to the League before warping towards their location and find out more about these strangers and their reason for visiting the planet. In a laid-back neighborhood where people were going about their daily business, something suddenly descended from the skies above and landed on the streets. Witnesses saw them to be a trio of humanoid beings with a color scheme of 2 shades of red and blue while wielding white batons. However, closer observations identify their behavior to be akin of robots. These robotics were walking down the streets and looking around as if in search of something or someone. "Stop." They all looked up to see John, Hawkgirl carrying Flash, as they descended from a ship hovering in the air called the Javelin and landed on the ground. Hawkgirl took a tri-pronged knife and tossed it into the air for a yellow flash to occur and dissipate to reveal Naruto in his Zenko gear, along with Kurama and Sigmus on his shoulders. "What do you want here?" asked John sternly. "John Stewart, the Green Lantern," the leading robot replied. "What for?" asked Flash. "That's not your concern," the robot replied bluntly. "Then we have a problem. John's our teammate and anything concerning him involves us," said Naruto. The others nodded in agreement. "I repeat, that's not your concern." The robot was about to walk past them. Hawkgirl stood before it with her mace battle ready. "Wanna bet?" The robot swiped a hand at her, but she ducked below, then lunged with a swing. Then the robot intercepted by grabbing the mace's handle and tossed her over his shoulder. Flash quickly dashed to catch her before she crashed to the ground. "Looks like negotiations just flew out the window," said Kurama. "Pretty much," thought Naruto. He rushed at one of the robots with a kunai shooting out from a sleeve into his hand. He caught sight of energy channeled at the tip of its baton and dodged to the side at the last second, then performed a low sweep kick to knock it off its feet, but had to jump away with the other robot, attempted to strike him from behind. However, a furry tail wrapped around one of the robot's leg and pulled it hard, revealing it to be Kurama, who flung it high into air right at Hawkgirl, who swung her mace to send it crashing back to the ground. Flash dashed next to Naruto with a look of surprise. "Whoa man, what have you been feeding him?" "The 5 basic food groups," Naruto responded jokingly. Kurama ran back next to Naruto, but not before giving Flash a look of mischief. Note to self, don't get on his bad side, thought Flash. Both snapped back to attention when they saw John getting blown back by one of the robots who had transformed their batons into staff-like weapons. The duo scattered to evade the energy bolts being fired at them. Naruto ran along the sides of the buildings before jumping into the air whilst weaving through a set of hand signs, wind style, air cannon. Wind swirled around his arms before thrusting them forward to launch spheres of wind to strike one of the robots, but the rest projected energy shields to deflect the others. John phased from the ground behind one of the robots and punched it hard at the back of its head, but it turned round and blasted him with its staff. Sigma swooped from the sky to catch him on its back before landing on the ground. "Thank you, my feathered friend," said John gratefully, with Sigma's chirping in response. Hawkgirl was swinging her mace at the opponent, but they were defending against her attacks and were countering with a blast from the staff when a glowing chain wrapped around it and jerked to the side to change trajectory. Hawkgirl seized the opportunity to swing her mace again and send it crashing into the wall of a nearby building. "Zenko, look behind you," Flash called out suddenly. Naruto didn't need to ask as he quickly jumped into the air in time to avoid an energy blast from behind by one of the robots which continued to shoot at him, but he fired a chakra chain at a wall and pulled himself over to it whilst evading the shots. The robot would have fired some more if not for a red and blue blur appearing out of nowhere and slamming into it, revealing to be Superman. Naruto landed next to him. "What took you so long?" "Had to deal with an earthquake, turns out it was just a 4-0. "Do you mind telling me what's going on here?" Superman responded. "These buckets of bolts are looking for Green Lantern and refused to tell us why. Then you came to meet the rest." Something caught his eye and he turned to see one of the robots lift a car over its head and flung it towards them. "I got it." Superman flew at the airborne vehicle and managed to catch, however Naruto saw the robot take out its staff and aimed it at Superman. "Oh no you don't." Naruto took out a shuriken, then channeled his wind chakra into it, then threw it to slice the staff cleanly in half. He rushed at the robot while weaving through a set of hand signs wind style. Pressure palm. Naruto slammed an open palm in the robot's torso, then a jet of wind burst forth to send it flying into another building. "We can do this all day, unless you unmute your mouths and tell us why you guys are looking for Green Lantern." The robots regrouped despite the large number of dents on their bodies, and only 2 of them wielded their staves, then took aim ready to fire. The team also got ready to retaliate with Superman preparing his heat vision and Naruto summoning Gunshin into his hands to cut them down this time. "Stop." Everyone looked up to see that it was none other than Green Lantern, who was the very reason why both sides had been fighting. The man slowly descended to land near the rest of the Justice League and faced the robots. "Better late than never," said Flash, however Green Lantern didn't respond and approached the robots much to the group's confusion, and Kurama's eyes narrowed as he stared at the man. "You're the Green Lantern known as John Stewart?" asked the robot. "I am," Green Lantern replied. The robot then held a hand out to him. "Your ring." Green Lantern looked at the hand bearing the ring for a few moments before taking it off and giving it to the robot, further confusing the group. John Superman spoke and was interrupted. "What are you doing?" asked Flash. Green Lantern looked and spoke sternly. "Stay out of this," but Naruto and Kurama noticed something in his eyes. "You will come with us." The robots clasped handcuffs onto his hands, then a large yellow beam of light shone from above and lifted them up into space away from Earth and the Justice League, with the members looking at each other with the same unasked question of what just happened. Some time later in the Watchtower, most of the members were currently in the control room, trying to figure out what's going on and why Green Lantern didn't tell them anything before letting himself be arrested without a struggle. Kurama had returned to the seal to rest a bit and hold a small discussion with Naruto about the situation, while Sigmas had reverted to its chick form and nestled in the blonde ninja's hood. The others were trying to figure out as well, with John using his psychic abilities to try and detect Green Lantern. "I sense turmoil, a heavy heart," said John. "I could have told you that," Flash piped up. "What I don't understand is why Green Lantern gave up his ring just like that," said Hawkgirl with a small frown. "I sensed guilt and self-loathing from Green Lantern when he was taken away. It was as if he had done something very bad to the extent that he felt that he needed to be arrested and punished for it," Naruto spoke up after talking to Kurama. "But what could he have done that so bad that he wouldn't tell us?" asked Flash confusedly. "That's what we're going to find put when we get to where he's been taken to," Superman determinedly. "He's looking at stars," said John. "But the question is which stars?" Superman flew over to a console and pressed a few buttons to activate a holographic projector to display a map of the entire galaxy. The rest approached the map, then John pointed at a certain part of the map. "There, that's where he is." The planet he pointed at was identified as Agerus 5. "Then that's where we're going." Naruto then spoke up. "Ugh guys, I've decided to stay back." This confused the group and Flash was more vocal about it. "Why not? Don't you want to help us find out what's going on with GL and those robots too?" asked Flash confusedly. "I do, but then 5 out of 8 members will be gone from the Earth, and it worries me if any of your enemies were to catch wind of your absence and go on a rampage. I think it's best that I stay behind to help out Batman and Wonder Woman, just in case anything else were to happening while you're gone, and I'm sure you guys can handle any problems over there," said Naruto. "I see what you mean." Superman agreed to Naruto's explanation. If someone like Lex Luthor were to learn of him being gone, he wouldn't put it past a power-hungry man to do some drastic that would put Metropolis or the planet at risk. He might not have known Zenko for long, but he could tell that he possesses power which he is yet to reveal, and was one of the major reasons for the defeat of the white alien invaders. "But you must contact in the case a situation too big for you and the others to handle comes up." "Got it," Naruto nodded in affirmation. "Guess we'll see you later then," said Flash. "Be sure to snap a couple of selfies while you're over," said Naruto jokingly, getting a thumbs up from the red speedster. He watched as the group boarded the Javelin and flew away from the watchtower, then went into hyperlight drive towards Ajuris 5. The blonde ninja made his way back to the control room and slumped on the chair. "Great, so what do I do now?" At that moment, the large monitor switched on to display Batman before him. "Never mind. I heard the news about a trio of robots appearing in the city, and you along with the others intercepted them. Care to tell me more about it?" asked Batman. Naruto rubbed the back of his head sheepishly. "Well, it went down like this." He proceeded to explain what happened up to the situation with Green Lantern, and so they set out for Ajuris 5 to learn more and hopefully clear his name of any crime he was accused of. "I suspect that there's more going on than seen at face value, but that leaves with the problem of being underhanded at the moment," said Batman thoughtfully. "I can leave a small group of shadow clones at the watchtower before I return to San Francisco with my Hirshin kunai," said Naruto. "Noted, I'll let you know if anything comes up," said Batman. "Same here." Naruto ended the transmission before hopping off the chair and creating a small group of shadow clones to watch over the place. Then he closed his eyes to focus on one of the Hirshin seals and warped towards it in a yellow flash. He opened his eyes to find himself standing atop the Golden Gate Bridge. "I think I'll have some ramen before resuming hero work, I'm starved." "Better make it quick, I'm in the mood for some trouble," said Kurama. Yeah. Naruto jumped off the platform and slid along the thick wires, then leapt high into the air and firing a chakra chain from his palm to latch onto the side of a building and swung across to land atop another building before jumping from roof to roof till he arrived at Chinatown. Naruto stealthily landed in a dark alleyway and unsealed some casual clothes from a scroll to put them on. He emerged from the alleyway while wearing a t-shirt with a wide-open shirt worn over it, blue jeans and a pair of sneakers, whilst using a henge to change his spiky blonde hair to smooth crimson hair and hide his whisker marks to take on his alter ego. Naruto strolled through the streets and calmly viewing the activities of the passers-by and shopkeepers with a smile on his face. Soon he arrived at one of his favorite ramen shacks and sat on one of the stools and ordered for a couple bowls of miso pork ramen before slurping away while giving Sigmus a noodle to eat each time. He was finishing up on the last bowl of ramen when he felt one of his shadow clones which he had posted at certain parts of the city dispel to transfer its memory, and he quirked an eyebrow in interest. "Now this is rather interesting, I wonder what she's doing here," said Kurama. "Might as well meet up with her and find out," thought Naruto. He quickly drank the remainder of the broth and placed the money required for payment with a little tip in addition. Then he made his way into another dark alleyway to change back into his Zenko gear before taking to the roofs with Sigmus flying close to him in eagle size. Naruto tracked the signature of whom he was searching till he found her. Turns out that it was Wonder Woman flying about, so he landed atop a tall water tower and let out a loud whistle, which seemed to have caught her attention as she was flying towards him. "Fancy seeing you here, Wonder Woman, what's up?" asked Naruto sitting on the water tower with Sigmus perching on his shoulder when the Amazon flew closer. "One of your shadow clones told me of what had happened, there seems to be something else at play here," said Wonder Woman thoughtfully. "That's what we all thought, which was why Superman and the others have gone over to Ajuris 5 to find out what's going on," said Naruto. Wonder Woman nodded in agreement. Then she looked at the blonde ninja and couldn't help but feel curious about him every time they met each other. She's read about ninjas in man's world, but he doesn't exactly match them entirely. "Zenko, there's something I've been wondering about concerning you." "What is it?" Naruto quirked an eyebrow in curiosity. "Your techniques and abilities share some similarities to the ninjas I've been reading of, but theirs were rather artificial compared to yours. I'm wondering how so." "Well, the things we do in my homeland can be viewed as the real deal, unlike these ones over here. They can only be any more than the academy level in a way. The jutsu are branched into a lot of variants, gain jutsu for illusions, to jutsu for hand-to-hand combat, ninjutsu for elemental and non-elemental attacks like the ones you have been seeing me doing. The list is so long that you might need a notebook to write all of them down," said Naruto humorously. Wonder Woman smiled at his little joke. "Sounds to me like your home is full of strong warriors." "I can say the same with how you hold yourself whenever we engage the enemy. Maybe one of these days we could spar with each other, both hand-to-hand and weapons," Naruto suggested. "That certainly sounds like a good idea," said Wonder Woman, now feeling the urge to spar with a ninja. Suddenly the earpiece on Naruto's ear started up with static before clearing itself up as he listened to the police scanner. "Attention all unit, we have a bank robbery in operation over at downtown. Requesting backup to converge and contain the situation." Naruto quickly got to his with a small frown behind his mask. "There's a robbery going on downtown." "Then I'll come along as well," said Wonder Woman. "Thanks, let's go Sigmus," said Naruto as the phoenix screeched before transforming into its larger form for Naruto to jump and took off with Wonder Woman flying next to them. It didn't take them too long to reach the location and could hear the sound of gunshots as they drew closer. The duo looked down below at the streets to see a gunfight between the police and the masked armed robbers in front of the bank. Wonder Woman quickly swooped down to the streets to land in front of the policeman and began to swiftly deflect the incoming bullets with her bracers as the robbers continued to fire at her. Naruto leapt off Sigmus's back and reached into his ninja pouch to take out 2 handfuls of kunai and channeled lightning chakra into them before flinging at the firearms, which caused them to malfunction and not able to fire anymore. "Didn't your mamas teach you never to play with guns?" asked Naruto playfully. Then one of the robbers took out a hand grenade and pulled out the pin before throwing it at them, more bombs for that matter. He shot out a chakra chain to wrap around the hand grenade, then whipped round to send it high into the air to explode harmlessly. "They're making a break for it," one of the policemen cried, getting Naruto and Wonder Woman to turn and see the robbers getting into a black van and about to drive away. "They flee like cowards," said Diana angrily. "There's nothing more insulting to a warrior than a foe running from the battlefield." "They're not going anywhere." Naruto took out another kunai, but one with a seal tag attached, which he threw to strike the back of the car. Then he formed a hand sign, seal activate. The tag glowed for a moment, then suddenly the wheels bent outwardly with the van collapsing to the ground. The robbers jumped out and tried to run away, but a chakra chain and golden lasso flew in the air and snagged them before they could take any more than 5 steps and were pulled out to the heroic duo. Now boys, you shouldn't be skipping from time out. Thanks for the help, Zenko and Wonder Woman. We should be able to take it from here, said a policeman. No thanks necessary, we were glad to help, said Wonder Woman. Ditto, said Naruto with a grin behind his mask. Then they took to the skies with Naruto riding on Sigmus's back once again. I'm beginning to wonder when there'll be a time when I'm needed, Kurama grumbled. He hasn't tasted action for months now and he's feeling edgy already. Same could be said for the draconic weapons. Well, we're yet to meet someone which requires your help. Maybe next time I'll have you showboat a little, said Naruto with a smirk. I hope so, I really want to punch something. I'll be returning to the watchtower in the meantime, in case anything else happens, Diana spoke up. Well, since the javelin is already taken, I can get you there with my Hirschen seal. Just an early warning, you might feel a bit queasy from the aftereffects. Naruto stretched a hand out for Diana to take before locking onto the seal in the watchtower and warped them all towards it, then appearing in the command center. Diana felt a bit woozy, but was quick to recover from that state, then turned to see Naruto rubbing the back of his head sheepishly with his porcelain mask off. Sorry about that. It's alright, but it's rather convenient to get around without wasting any time at all, said Diana. It actually belonged to my father before I inherited from him. He was given the moniker Yellow Flash, as that was all the enemy could see before being defeated, and was even given a flea on sight because of his prowess, said Naruto. I can tell by the tone of your voice that you're very proud of him, said Diana with a soft smile, thinking back when her mother would watch her with pride and began to feel a bit homesick. I was wondering if you have a civilian disguise to use to blend in the cities, said Naruto curiously. Actually, I don't have one at the moment. That won't do. I think we should help set one up for you for the times you need to relax, amongst other things. We can do that when Superman and the others return, said Naruto. I don't really think it's that necessary, Diana protested. Oh come on, it will be a lot of fun, and I can show you the places where they sell some good ramen, and there's also the awesome sites too to check out. Naruto said this with looks of excitement. Diana giggled at how childlike the ninja was acting. Very well, we'll just have to see, said Diana amusedly. Naruto smiled in response. Great, I'll see you later then. He focused on one of his seals and disappeared in a yellow flash before reappearing within his home. Naruto took off his gear and placed some of them into the washing machine to clean off the dirt stench while he himself went to take a shower before exiting to put on some clothes. Naruto had ordered for some takeout and waited till it arrived before relaxing in the sitting room and watching some TV. He went to bed, but not before setting up an alarm to wake him later. Ring. Naruto was roused from his sleep by the alarm clock which he had set up and looked outside to see that it was already nighttime. He got off his bed and went to fix up a light dinner of macaroni and cheese, then ate it before changing into his Zenko gear. Now that he was all set, Naruto warped to one of the Hirschen seals in the city to avoid being seen leaving his apartment room. Naruto had deployed several of his shadow clones to scout the city for anything new while he sat cross-legged and began drawing in natural energy to enter the sage mode to be able to sense any oddities. He called to check up with Batman in case there was anything new, and all he got was a blunt no. Sometimes Naruto wonders just what is needed to get the Caped Crusader to loosen up around them, that or he's being a paranoid stereotypical ninja like the few he had met back in the Elemental Nations. I wonder how everyone's doing back in Konoham. Kurama, do you sense that? Thought Naruto with a slight frown. Yeah, and the amount of energy is something to behold, said Kurama. Naruto looked up to see a comet of sorts and was descending at a rapid pace towards a part of the city. He judged the trajectory and used his heightened senses to scope the possible areas for the impact and was relieved to detect no civilians in the area, which gives him much better conditions of investigation. Whatever or whoever is in that, I suggest we get there and check it out before the police do and cause a scene. I was thinking the same thing. Naruto began leaping along the rooftops at high speed than he normally does and had soon arrived at the desolate section of the city where he saw a long trench along the street leading to a large flaming crater. He took note that the police are yet to arrive at the crash site and reckoned that they're being more cautious due to their past encounter with the Imperium. The blonde ninja carefully approached the burning crater. Suddenly his senses picked up something diving towards him from above and quickly backflipped several times just in time as where he once stood turned into a large crater with a cloud of dust. Naruto took a combat stance as the source of the energy began to approach him until it revealed correction she revealed herself to him, making Naruto's eyes widen at what he's seeing here. Yoza, I expected a lot of things, but nothing like this. Kurama was just as stunned like his partner. Naruto can tell that she is an alien, but her looks make him choke on his own breath. She has a figure which could surpass that of Shion, Hinata, Ino, Mei Terumi altogether. Her skin color is orange with hair color being fire red, and her emerald green eyes reminds Naruto of the forests on Konoha, but it was her outfit that made him just stand there and stare. It's a purple monokini with the bottoms having two straps of fabric go up her sides, leaving the center completely exposed, and then wrapping around her neck, there is a large orange gem in the center where a belt buckle is supposed to be, but seems to be decorative instead, and wears a pair of purple boots which reaches up to her thighs. Refer to Starfire's original comics outfit on Google. Naruto then noticed something was off and noticed a pair of handcuffs which reach up to her elbows, causing him to frown slightly. Looking at those cuffs hints that she could be powerful, and another that she might be an escaped prisoner or convict. The woman glared at Naruto with a snarl and started yelling at him in a language which he couldn't understand. Next thing was that she rushed at him with the restraints raised above her head in a form of an attack, but Naruto jumped away in time to dodge another crater-forming attack. Yikes. She's got strength close to that of Superman, thought Naruto. He continued to evade the swings and kicks from the alien girl who kept yelling in a language which he couldn't understand, and any attempt to talk back leads to nothing good. Damn, why is she attacking me when I haven't done anything? Naruto looked at the alien and began to notice something with his partial empathic ability. He wasn't feeling any strong traces of anger whatsoever. She's not angry, then why? Kurama, I need to go chakra mode and find out something. Sure thing, I'm just as curious, said Kurama. Naruto called upon Kurama's chakra to enter his chakra mode. His body is coated in yellow chakra with his clothes undergoing the same thing and emanating like that of flickering flames. Two front spikes of his hair pointed upwards to resemble horns from the hood, 6 black magatama markings around the collar of his jacket with a prominent swirl design over the stomach and various other archaic lines extending along his body. Naruto used his heightened empathic ability to sense her emotions and was surprised to discover that she wasn't angry but scared. Then he noticed that she wasn't attacking but staring with slight wariness. The alien girl was about to attack again when she saw the mask being suddenly transform into a fiery entity. Then she sensed his energy and was surprised that his aura radiated kindness, calming and warmth. She then saw the being reached for his mask and took it off along with pulling down his hood to reveal a partially covered face and blue eyes, which exudes the same warmth. Naruto sensed that she wasn't scared anymore, but now curious about him. Good, perhaps getting those cuffs off will further prove that I'm not an enemy. He raised his hands above his head and slowly approached the girl who continued to watch his every move. Naruto reached for the handcuffs, then he combined his sage mode and chakra mode to rip them apart without hurting her. Next he tried to use gestures to try and communicate, but all the girl did was tilt her head in confusion, which he inwardly found cute. Oh man, what do we do now? Normally I would suggest the Martian, but we both know that he isn't available right now, said Kurama. Yeah, I know, but Naruto noticed that the alien girl was now making gestures of her own. She was pointing at her lips, then his, which caused him to quirk an eyebrow in confusion at what she's trying to say. Next thing Naruto knew was that the alien girl reached for his face to pull down his face mask and pressed her lips against his for a deep kiss. Let it be known that Naruto had broken his personal recording for the largest eye widening as he stood there in the midst. They finally broke apart with a trail of saliva between them as Naruto covered his mouth with his hand and his face completely red as his chakra mode was deactivated. And I wasn't expecting that either, but at least you got something good out of it, said Kurama with a smirk, though he noticed that she had absorbed a bit of Naruto's chakra, but not to a harmful condition. Naruto snapped back into attention and ended up speaking in his native language. WW, what was that all about? Why did you kiss me all over a sudden? Not that I really mind. I apologize for the sudden action, but it is how my people of Tamarin and I learn languages, said the alien girl in perfect Japanese. Naruto stared at her blankly and uttered one word huh. We Tamaranians are capable of assimilating other languages through physical conditions, so I kissed you in order to learn your languages so I can speak with you, said the girl with a smile. Oh, I was just taken by surprise is all. Naruto pulled his face mask and hood back up and was about to ask her some more questions when he heard the sounds of police sirens drawing close to their position. We need to move from here and avoid any potential misunderstandings. Would you come with me? Okay, the alien girl nodded in affirmation, then she began to hover in the air and Naruto saw that the ends of her long hair actually ignited into flames. Okay, Sigmas, let's go. Naruto called out, then the flaming phoenix swooped down for him to jump onto its back as he took the lead with the surprised alien girl following after him. By the way, what's your name? Oh, my name is Coriander, but you can also call me Starfire, said the girl. Well mine's Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, but you can just call me Naruto. But I requested you call me Zenko for now, said Naruto. Okay Zenko, said Starfire as they continued to fly from the outskirts of the city. So this part ends here. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, so quickly like this video for second part of this series. And comment down below your thoughts about this series. And now it's time for me to go, bye.